Silas at least stops it before it got out of hand. If he was able to find even more damage there, suddenly you're thinking, ooh, this is again another game where Regnum feel like they should be able to build. And again, actually, it's interesting to see how Regnum are going to play this one out. Obviously, it's a far slower game from them. They're in the forefront of it now. That chase has not stopped at all as well. Power going from target to target, everyone running them down. It's Thunder Talks again now, pushing up. They've got angles, but smoke's down to provide some cover for the quick heals.
Good elim count though so far, 7, highest in the lobby. 4thrives just 1 elim behind that. Sing's going to move forward over towards Al-Haji, confirmed towards him. Gets caught underneath the wheel, wrapped up in burnt rubber. As Thunder Talks sent back over towards the rest of the team. Another shift on the circle here. Regnum do need to move out, and you're right, they were laying the brickwork on the south side for a better match here, but it is Nongshim Red Force, Alter Ego, Weibo, all controlling this high ground. It is a very fun circle to end up on. A lot of cheeky maneuvers that are available here.
Vader with the nades. Just slightly off target. The problem is you've got a few establishing shots that have been fired in from the back as well, with Falcons taking a bit of a scout onto it, trying to spread themselves thinner to keep the pressure on. Ragnar with the spot in the vehicle, quick scout, makes his move back so they can play as a duo still and work off one another. Actually gets the drive-by. The bonnet is enough. That's Thunder Talks losing so much from this.
Goodness me, I mean, Power doing that on their own as well versus Thunder Talks is very, very impressive. They had that number for such a long time, but we switched mobiles there and left in the dust. Regnum look to send up. They're heading over towards Ida once again. It feels like these two Turkish teams consistently take tumbles against one another. They're going to send far over towards Alter Ego, Alva, as well as Krypton.
Ooh, just nipping the back of the hill for Krypton is enough to shut him down. An instant connection from Silas onto Alva as well. It's a good heads-up play. You're saying, look, they're going to cast round towards Ida. Instead, they avoid that cut, center circle, straight path, shut down a big squad there as well, stop them from stealing away points.
And get a fairly decent position. We know how much Regnum do like their ditches. So, like you say, they do avoid the Turkish tussle over towards the western side and instead confirm on a very, very central position. Regnum down in 12th place right now, 4 points total with just the 3 elims on this game. They desperately need a big one here if they want to stay in the conversation over towards the top side of the lobby.
This is for Hedown, finally going for Hedown as he gets finished off by Falak there, shots to the side.
5 elims for Falak as well. I mean, he is going off this game. It makes sense as well. I mean, he's always been such a strong player on the squad. Ragnar steps up. Falak won't quite find it, but 8 nades to work with. Yeah, he's probably going down.
Such an easy lineup as well. Only took 1, still 7 in the back pocket for play later. The crowd enjoying that one. So Power go down. Vahidan and his brother in arms finished off. Falak certainly showing us what he's made of, and the Falcons still attempting to find opportunities to scramble some points away on this one.
Top 4 are all out, so this is a great opportunity for the teams underneath to equalize now. We're looking at Ida, Weibo, 4thrives as well. 8 elims this match, which is phenomenal, by the way. 6 of them on Falak so far, and he looks to push that number up slightly, just a little bit to the left. They have just found that knock. Looking to explode the vehicle instead. It's Noki who moves forward, will knock a grenade of his own, sends it through, might just be far enough, but they turn tail and run, and sprint they'll have to.
You are so low though. Bounce around the tree. Redox on the drop, belly on the ground, but it's not enough for the follow-up. T24 with that one. Narvalo is so far away, couldn't assist for the rest of the squad. He's tucked in for cover, but it's just him now.
This feels like classic 4thrives as well. The nade play has been wonderful to watch. 4 players sweeping in from that eastern side, and from fight to fight, they've looked strong. Not really been much response their way either. Very much a one-sided argument for 4thrives so far. Nade's been sent over now to DRX. This is from Horror, attempting to cut their way in on the northeast side. Regnum Kaya much more concerned right now with the beast lying in wait on the east side and 4 Thrives.
It's what we wanted to see. 4 Thrives, not just surviving, but like we've said time and time again, absolutely thriving in the lobby, living up to their old tricks, showing us the powerhouse that they can really be. Aura here trapped in commotion versus DRX as well. No fear. He bails out. Quick move. Silas still finding impact in the Elim feed as another squad feels the wrath of Regnum Karia.
With 33Z going down, now we're in a full-on brawl, likely to spark soon between 4 Thrives as well as Regnum Kaya, but it's Horror coming in from that northern edge. T24 immediately passes that information back, and Noki will stand at the forefront as the vanguard versus Horror. IQ playing far back down towards the southeast, trying to gather some information over towards Regnum Kaya. And all the while, Nongshan Red Force has been living it large inside their mansion, almost.
Yeah, living their movie, sitting pretty. No one's contested them. They really haven't had to do too much whatsoever to get closer and closer towards some sweet, sweet high-end placement points on this one. Falak, though, finally comes unstuck. He's been ripping and tearing his way through everyone in this lobby, but now you've got to play medic if you want to save him. IQ from the side, hits back onto the sky. Sleepy, closing the gap with the scout in play, bails out the vehicle. Oh, the shots connect as well. 4 Thrives losing a lot of their stock on this one now.
But Regnum Kaya trying to steal away some of these elims. They will find a couple, and Wild will find another knock. Falcons go down to DRX as they try to get involved in this one. But it's Regnum Kaya taking that opportunity. It's a perfect opportunity for them to swing round on that southeast edge. They want to clear as many teams as possible. 4 Thrives move back over towards Horror here. And for Regnum Kaya, that was a lovely trade for them.
Aura going to be dropping the hoorah as the energy's there. You've still got to contain yourself, reset from the angles that are in play. Sleepy and No Fear, they're split up. Hyunbin finding impact back over onto Ida as well, and this story continues. DRX decimating onto Ida, and Nongshan Red Force finally, they get thrown a bit of a deathly blow as there'll be a connection back over from Regnum Karia.
Handle them, keep them at bay here, and it has to be done as we get through in towards our next circles. Most teams desperate for this one to move away from Nongshan Red Force, but will it ever? Directly on top of them, and realistically for a lot of our other teams, they're playing for second now. Nongshan Red Force, as aggressive team as they are, will just have to bide their time. They're going to have to sit still and just make sure that blood doesn't thump too hard and they get the signal to send out of the building with the rage that is building.
Getting ants in your pants at a time like this could be the worst outcome for them. You've got to say, I mean, props to Regnum Karia, very proactive heads-up gameplay right now with the fights that they've been willing to take. They started slow, but they have not stopped since they found momentum. Nades being thrown back out as well, trying to get that one on target down towards Aura. And then DRX ushered further forward, slowly advancing, looking to play off one another with cover. Sleepy in the vehicle makes a move. Ida still getting hit by the play zone as well.
Really could not move at all here. Regnum Kaya is trying to slow things down, thinking they're looking for that second place here. They know they need to get the placements as well as the elims. It's tough for them, it's difficult. Aaron, start play coming through from Ida, wanders through onto that western side, will make a quick sweep before making the pit stop on the northwest side of Nongshan Red Force. Nade just stopped short there of Horror. Regnum Karia's got a different prey on their mind, looking over towards Nongshan Red Force, trying to see if they can find a singular knock before to take that task to them.
Aaron can just keep his nose clean as well. He's got some hard cover to work with the airdrops that are close by, so just tucks himself in position. Straight down the middle. Here's the push-up, though, from Regnum Karia. Instant engagement from Bloxy, who locks on, and Sleepy is down and out. No Fear, barely standing tall as well. So much damage done from the engagement.
It's going to be a long nade, by the way, he's sending here. I don't think it's going to go far enough. I think you're best off holding these nades for the initial push that's going to happen over towards Nongshim Red Force, and that is good resource control there from Regnum Kai. You can see Wild's got 3 nades, I think Silas had 6, but they don't want to expend too many here versus No Fear. They definitely have some that are expendable, but they need them if they want to push over. But it's good to know that there is at least a plan in the mind of Regnum Kaya of how they're going to assault this building.
Got Aaron as well, throwing out nades on the push-up from Hyunbin. That's what I was saying. He tucked himself into an angle to actually make it kind of uncomfortable. Ooh, Nongshim Red Force baited into this one potentially, though. Looking for a look over the top of the ridge. Aaron trying to keep himself down. Nades coming in. Firsts on target. Follow-up's good. Doxy dismantles Ida. They're out of the running now.
There is a slight distraction here. Going through towards Nongshim Red Force. I think that Regnum Kai is going to try and play this one out for Zone 9, honestly, and hope that this is not central. I don't think it is, and it will force Nongshim Red Force out. But Toshpik sends in first and will manage to get towards the backside here. Nongshim Red Force weren't able to control it, and Nongshim Red Force, they see red. They move out of the building, and Regnum Kai has picked up position.
DRX are dealing damage and handling themselves up close and personal. For Nongshim, it's going wrong. Binny now with a thin veil of smoke to protect himself, but look at all of the nades. Everyone priming these from the top of the roof, dashing them down. They had such a power play position for so damn long, but the minute they advance, DRX makes it uncomfortable. And Binny, you're living on borrowed time. Regnum Karia, if they find this one, they're setting themselves up for a huge chicken dinner.
10 points on the game and plenty more eliminations to be found here for Regnum Kaya. Like we said before, they've been holding on to these resources. They knew the angle they'd need to take. Silas goes down, but not before a nade sent through. Sizzy goes out, and it will be Regnum Kaya looking for the big finish here versus DRX Jackie.
They just need that final knock. Convert this one, close it down. The slow build-up. Oh, and that's enough. All it takes, the push-up from the zone, being the 5th man in the lobby for Regnum Karia as they're able to convert that one. A great game, good decision-making. The third parties were on point, and they walk away with a chicken dinner here in the playoffs.
It's a big game for them, a much-needed match. The top 4 went out early as well, as we talked about, so this will bump Regnum Kaya back up towards that top side of the tables. But for Nongshim Red Force, like we said, that force from them builds quite a bit. The rage needs to be contained. They can't always be looking for these massively aggressive plays. They could have sit still for a little bit longer, but that leg was jiggling and they wanted to get it moving.
Yeah, baited out by the last man from Ida. Aaron just behind the box causes problems against DRX. They swoop in thinking we could just clean up on this one, take it all home, but it was not a spilled drink. They did not clean it easy, and it presented opportunities for this team on your screens to run away with it.
Regnum Kaya make it messy towards the end zone. But we're going to clean up right now, and we'll take you to a break, in which case we'll come back with the desk.
This land is calling.
Pulsar Legionnaire available now. First outfit with special head animations and voice lines. The Pulsar Legionnaire set comes with its own super cute voice lines that can be toggled on or off.
What happened? Bye, friend. Hello, Earth. I'm here.
It also features the upgradable Hyperion ship DSR. And Jet Reaver Glider with special animations. Experience parachuting like never before. That's not all. Even more rewards await. Event period, July 25th, 2025 through August 26th, 2025. What are you waiting for? Get the new Guild set now.
Regnum Carrier capitalizes on the entire nation of South Korea and is able to wrestle away, or barely wrestle away, that compound there from Nongshim Red Force to get themselves the victory. Joining me, Neptura, as well as Seven, to talk about this one. Neptura, this raised some questions, but Regnum Carrier looking strong.
They are looking strong. After a confusing start, for me personally, they are looking very, very strong indeed. I'm not sure what was happening in the early game. They were still in Roshawk in phase 2, still in the blue, still out there in phase 3 even, but I actually really liked their wide wraparound, and that really set them off for the rest of the game.
I mean, you got to give credit to Regnum Carrier. Even though they did end up rotating late, I really enjoyed the crashes that they were able to do. This team was just really confident. They were able to crash on 2 players from APG. After that, they made sure that they made 4th Thrive's actually back off, and that's what's ultimately a bit of 4th Thrive's demise there, because they don't want to take over Regnum Carrier. But looking at the overall the match ranking here, DRX still being able to put up some points.
Yeah, very impressive by them. On the north side, they were fighting. I think it's fair to say. Okay, let's just instantly address it.
Just do it.
Nongshim Red Force.
Great team.
It's 7 points from that here, 7. It's a bit of a disaster considering what you should have been able to get from this game.
Yeah, you're an evil person.
I'm old now.
You would send it to me too, because man, I was fuming as soon as I saw this team leave the compound after not doing absolutely a damn thing throughout the whole match, saying this is why this team is so passive. You were saying it perfectly too, Cal. You thought that this team was going to end up maybe a little bit scared of getting sandwiched, but even then, just try to use that utility. There was already so many smokes there on that compound, and you decide to give the high ground to Regnum Carrier of all teams?
The green room was in shambles, weren't we? When they made that play, it was like, what are you doing? I mean, if you want to go for a harebrained push like that, at least just use 2. If you're going to go, oh, we've got some opening knocks onto DRX. No, I don't agree with it at all. But I would agree with it better than sending all 4 off of those houses. It shouldn't have been done in the first place, but it is what it is. And Regnum Carrier, I will say Regnum Carrier's timing on that, as soon as they saw, hang on a second, they've made a massive blunder. We can take advantage of this. They full sent to that. It was really, really nicely played from them. I do want to go very quickly back to Regnum, though, because that initial south rotation early on in the game, it actually was a really good play for them, because they were able to come up behind 4th Thrives, behind APG as well. And as those teams moved up and got fought on that hillside, they were actually able to come up and sandwich behind them. So it was actually really well set up from them as well. So coming in through that and then getting all that momentum, third-partying everything they could find up against a Nongshim who hasn't done anything all game except sit in a compound and then make a mistake. I mean, it was a very easy win for them.
Yeah, for Regnum Carrier, it just came down to that aggression that they were showing throughout that match. But let's go back to Nongshim Red Force. Yeah. You were talking about maybe sending 2. Don't send in anybody.
No.
What are you doing? What are you doing giving your high ground to another team? And if they were going to be wanting to do anything, we're actually talking about this, maybe try to set up a player on the roof of that compound, because you already have utility. You didn't have to do anything throughout the match. You can use that utility to defend yourself from DRX and be ready for any type of push that Regnum Carrier was going to have to do on you.
If anything, it would have yielded more limbs. Never mind like a potential win or something like that. But anyway, that's by the by. Other teams that we want to focus on as well. Good old 4th Thrives. The team that Mr. 7 did pick to do well. Talk to me.
I mean, it was just an amazing play out of this team. Being able to rotate early on to the southwest of the military island. After that, they were able to spot that APG had moved on. And I think this is one thing that Max and I were talking about throughout the match. We were expecting APG to actually be in military apartments. They gave that up, and Four Stripes was able to take full advantage of it. You can see exactly why, as Falak was able to get 6 eliminations, and I actually enjoyed what Falak was doing. He still overextended a little bit there towards the end. The team was a bit too split, and Hora ended up just capitalizing on that. But before that, they were just being proactive. They were showing the aggression that we have seen out of this team in group stage.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I really liked Falak's nade over onto Power, right? Was it Ragnar, the last player? He actually, with that nade, not only got rid of a team, but he opened up a position for his own team, right? So they were able to push on top of that. So he, even though he does overextend just a little bit, he's doing so much for his team as an entry point.
Well, if you want to extend on that too, this team kept on sweeping. That's what I enjoyed, wanting to gain control. And if we talk about sweeping, one team that was able to do that great was Power.
Yeah, they were looking good. They were looking good for it. But I'm getting word that we are ready to head over to Barney, who is actually with Suk from Weibo after their couple of games here for the grand final.
Welcome back to the main stage where I've got Suk here from Weibo Gaming. We are 3 maps into day 1 of the grand finals and things are starting to heat up already. Suk, the first thing I want to ask you, it's the grand finals. You guys are performing pretty well straight off the bat. I want to ask you how you feel like your games are going so far, what can be improved on and what's going well.
首先就是你们现在已经到了总决赛嘛，然后在总决赛当中，你们今天一开始的时候感觉状态还是挺好的，就是打的成绩也不错。就想问你个人来讲的话，你觉得你今天发挥怎么样呢？哪里有什么要进步的，以及要调整的吗？
还好，只不过我们在世界赛这个舞台好像有一些困难需要去克服，就比如说对手他的一些不按套路出牌，然后他们可能做出一些针对，比如说我们上一把的海岛在机场被 Power 所针对了一下，因为正常情况下他一个 M 层队伍可能会去正常运营，但是他选择来到海边堵我们一个 P 港进圈的路线，所以我们可能在接下来的比赛会去着重往这方面去优化。
Well, it's we have done pretty well so far, but we do feel like this is the grand finals. This is the main stage. We are noticing that some of the other teams are obviously doing or at least strategizing around us. Like for example, in the last map, Erangel, when we landed at the airport, I think P team they were they are a team that usually lands in like an M city or something, and then they actually came over to airport with us, and they kind of targeted us. So we kind of need to adapt around that. We need to make sure that we are more on our toes and be able to counter whatever strategies that our opponents have prepared for us.
You sound like you know what's going on. I think that something I need to mention as well, something that's been really amazing to see here in the Gadia Esports Arena, is how many Chinese fans that we have in the crowd cheering you on. It's been so amazing to see. How does it feel having this kind of national support here at the Esports World Cup? And is there anything you'd like to say to them?
就现在你到这个主舞台上面呢，也有来了很多中国的粉丝到现场来支持你们。你有什么话想跟就是你现在感觉怎么样？有这些粉丝在这边在现场能支持你，以及有什么话想跟他们说的吗？
无需多言 ，I love you。
I understood that one. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us in this interview, Suk. You're doing really well so far, but obviously we've got 3 more maps today and of course the rest of the weekend to see if you guys can prove yourself and lift that trophy. But for now, let's head back to you guys.
Well, there you have it. There is Suk giving us some info about what's going on in Weibo at the moment here. But let's talk about some of the other teams from these Erangels, of course. Hora. They were able to put themselves in a better position, I feel, compared to the previous games.
I have to agree. I think they actually did a really, really good job of not only positioning themselves correctly, but also being more aggressive with these things, you know? We saw some really great pushes, some really good timing, some really good third parties, and I want to predict that they will win a game today, because that's how they're looking.
Yeah, well, we'll go back on Hora in a bit.
Will.
I'm actually impressed at just first place to 8th place, currently only being separated by 8 points.
Whoa.
This might be the closest first 3 games we have ever had at an international.
Before we even move on, I want you to take a look at Power. Power's all points are just coming in from eliminations. I've never seen that before, especially for a team that's in top 4.
Well, it's consistent with their brand, right? Because let's be real, in the, I think it was either group stages or survival, I think it was like 40 elims compared to about 10 or 15 placement points points, so we know that they can frag out. And usually Neptura, as we take a look through at 9th and 16th, when a team is able to frag out like that, eventually placement points will come. So maybe this is a good omen for Power.
I should hope so. I've really enjoyed how they played so far today. I do agree that I think we are going to see probably a lot more placements coming their way because we've seen it from them before as well, haven't we? Certainly in the survival stage, they were doing a lot in terms of those placement points, really able to control those end zones and getting a win a lot of the time. So it's bound to happen.
The way that they've been aggressive, that's what was impressive to me in that last match. The way that they were able to spread out, they were showing us exactly how they were able to play in survival stage, making sure they had those big splits, get a big area on the zone, and going to Hora, they're pretty much doing the same thing too. They were having 1-2-1 splits that worked out wonders for them, and at the end, took the fight to 4 drives and actually won it until they got third party.
I've been impressed by their glow up from group stage through into survival stage and now here in the final. Let's see if they can continue it as well. But also, we have another opportunity for you guys at home to be involved, because starting from August the 1st, that's today, we have the PDP Global Fashion Icon Contest officially kicking off. So, the cool thing about this competition is it accepts both in-game outfit design submissions as well as people participating by showcasing their real-life outfits for you guys to wear at home in real life as well. So use your sense of fashion to influence the world, and the total prize pool can reach up to $120,000. To participate or view detailed rules, please visit the PDP section on the official PUBG Mobile website or follow the official social media accounts. Exciting stuff. I think, Seven, you've got a great fashion sense. You could win. I'm just lying, of course. All right, well, let's head on over to Barney now, as well as Veracity. They're ready to kick off the half-time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Qiddiya Esports Arena, where we are halfway through day 1 of the Grand Finals, and things are really starting to heat up. The spectacle is growing. We've had some amazing performances so far, and it's starting to heat up. Veracity.
It certainly is, Barney. I'm super excited for the first day of our Grand Finals here in the Qiddiya Esports Arena. We've had some fantastic games so far.
We have, haven't we? I'm buzzing. So, map number 1, Power started extremely strong. 6 eliminations on the board, but only 1 player remained, and it was easy, securing a further 3 eliminations, bringing their total to 9. But the final face-off was between Alter Ego Esports and Alter Ego Ares, in fact, let's get it right, and EDA Esports. Alter Ego managing to secure the winner-winner chicken dinner and 23 points on the board.
You know what, though, Barney? In match 2, we saw an incredibly defensive Team Falcons coming on through, which was a far cry from the performance of top 3 placements we saw coming out from them during the survival stage. However, our final fight saw Yangon Galacticos and Team Secret going head-to-head, with Yangon Galacticos walking away victorious in that one with 12 eliminations under their belt. You get up there, Barney?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually starting to like it. Not bothered.
All right, in which case we'll go ahead and leave you up there. Match 3, however, with Yangon Galacticos having a giant target on their back, they were understandably the very first team to get eliminated during that one. It was grenades galore all throughout the match. However, for 4 Thrives and Power Esports, each of those teams had 10 eliminations each. But unfortunately, neither of them were able to make it to the final stages of the match. Instead, however, we saw Regnum Caria walking away with a winner-winner chicken dinner. How about that one?
You know that this isn't over. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get ready for map number 4 of day 1 of the Grand Finals.
There it is, map number 4 coming your way, our final Erangel of the day before we head into back-to-back Miramars. It's been a lot of fun watching the front end of the matches, and now it's time to watch the back end and see if some of our teams towards the bottom, who might be on the struggle bus very early going, however, start to rise up. I'm Taylor Reflections, and we're joined by John. And John, I'm excited to get this one started, brother, because last game was nutty. We had, of course, that military end zone. Super sad I wasn't a part of it. I love military zones. Hoping we get one here, but did see a bit of some fumbles. I don't know, maybe some grand final nerves starting to come out.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Nongshim Red Force's decisions were at best questionable in those final moments. They were having a bit of a nightmare in that final scenario. Very quiet all game. They were timid and hiding behind the curtains of their buildings, but in the end, they made that wrong call. They pushed out and Regnum able to sweep them under the rug. It has been quite a different story in each of our matches. That's what's led to the tables being as they are. It is very, very close towards the top side. There is no clear front runner right now, even if we've got a team at the top of the tables. As much as it's nice to be there, it is not a secure place. So, with another Erangel to play today, we are going to be kicking things off for one more grassy pastures. I can see they've gotten rid of Barney off that stage. His square has descended and he's allowed back to the green room. He can have a drink of water, get refreshed, because it is about to get messy.
Let's get it going. Game number 4, back to Erangel, and time to see who's ready to perform and who is ready, well, to drop the ball. It's going to be a fun one without question. Fourth Rise, been looking for them to step it up. They're not doing too bad necessarily. 18 points, 9th place, but first place after all with Alter Ego is just at 28. Very doable. It's only day 1, 3 games in. No alarm bells ringing just yet. Maybe we'll start some tomorrow when we get into game 4, 5, and 6. I do want to see Horta, though, do a lot better than where they currently are at 13. I really think that's a roster that performed very, very well throughout the group stages, obviously throughout the survival stages. But today, been falling a bit flat. And the same could be said for Team Falcons, who obviously the home team going for that club championship race. That's a roster that needs a top 8 finish. Right now in 15th, just one spot away from the bottom.
It's not friendly to be down there. Of course, you've got 18 matches left to play. It's a longer set than the 12 we've been used to seeing for each of our teams over the survival stage, over those group stages as well. So a little bit more leeway on these slightly lower than expectations performances. But hopefully they can pick up the pace here in match number 4 on the day, as our top players do slide on past our eyeballs. You can see Al Haji, with the support from his father, of course, having a good time. Circle pops, and we're heading out to the east side of Erangel.
Love this zone. I think it's going to be a bit spicy for the military zone players. Well, they get a little bit of a profit, I think, at least for 2 teams, if I'm not mistaken, who consistently land down over at military. Maybe we throw in a third, but you do have to kind of start thinking ahead of the game, man. At that that eastern bridge might be a bit spicy, but here to what do we see?
Fireflux and Horror both will come into contact with one another on their, maybe not a hot drop, but on those vehicles. They are going to get contested. At the moment, there is a knock sent over towards Horror, but Fireflux playing on as 3, as they have had a player confirmed down and out. That is not good news to kick things off, especially given where the circle has fallen on this east side.
Yeah, without a doubt. And for Fireflux especially, being all the way at the bottom, I feel they have had some shining moments throughout our tournament, but today they've fallen very flat, and already losing a player is going to put their backs even further against the wall. What looks to be getting their teammate back up into the fight, so that's going to be good news for them. A team, again, that performed very well throughout the previous days, looking to step it up here. Sleepy is going to be split off in the distance. Luckily for him, he's going to be just fine. Nobody looking to contest. We do have Power and Ragnum Karya relatively close. Now, we did notice one of the interesting things about Power is no placement points, but they're still up there in the top 4 because of the eliminations.
Ooh, maybe another elim for Ida, but no, not quite able to connect. Yeah, absolutely correct. The desk was highlighting it as well, of course, with Power not able to get into the placements on any of their 3 matches, but still being in the top 5 is insane, right? And they are right on the doorstep of potentially doing a little bit more. So if they're able to do this in these early game scraps, a much more heavy elimination focus, taking inspiration from the likes of IHC a couple of years back and making sure that they are primarily focused in these scenarios. If they can get into these late games, if they can get a chicken dinner or 2 on board, bolster up those placements, it is a fearsome roster to be worried about. As we hop on board with the Falcons, though, up towards Pachinki. They don't have any contest here, but it has not been a nice sight to see if you're a Falcons fan, and I know there's plenty out there in the arena.
That's right.
And they aren't going to be too happy with them for the time being. 2 points average on the games they've played. That's not good.
But we got to appreciate having Pachinki to yourselves for Falcons. That's plenty of loot they're going to have, especially going into the next zone, which is getting tightly contested. For Falcons, they should have an easy transition in, depending on where DRX chooses to land. And, well, for DRX, they're going to leave 1 player out and maybe be the scout for the roster. See how that ends up unfolding. For Power's sake, though, they continue to move central zone, where Ragnum Karya are currently at. Fireflux and Nogsham Red Force not far behind. Could get a little bit spicy as a lot of vehicles are moving, teams are traveling, and they're starting to lock in those hard cover POIs.
Power Esports drawing up in the garage there. They will be playing all three of them stopping off on the building. And they are sending another further on out. So we get a replay. This is that hot drop. Matcap, okay. It was 2 players with knives. And in the end, Sky was able to tag him for 1, and then Sleepy chefed him up something awful over in the garage there. Only the pistol to defend, and that's not good news.
Could have been scary. Rosemary opposite of AJ from Thunder Talk. I'll pop out. That was a great placement, and in fact, it's going to end up in a drop. AJ putting in work early on. Full health, mind you. He can truly do a lot of damage to this Alter Egos roster up ahead.
Thunder Talk bolstering their position as well, with King sidling on forwards. Alter Ego trying to pull Rosemary back to his feet there. And they are going to put a lot of investment into it, but Moana, goes for the nade and flushes his own teammate out. That is not a good start for Alter Ego to try and defend this top spot on the table. And now it's Thunder Talk looking to keep this pace going. All 4 of them now in situ, and they can play on a numbers advantage. A little bit split for Alter Ego. Alva under a lot of pressure there. The reload needs to come through. Can he connect with the auto shotty?
He stays in the corner, dodging those jump shots, goes for the retreat, and is successful in getting some distance between them, which means he can reposition and fight the duo of Thunder Talk. That fight still going to be well underway, and he's going to continue to distance himself, maybe get an off angle onto AJ. It pays off. The down is in, but the 2 members from Thunder Talk are hot on his heels.
They're still on the outside of the wall, though, and with King falling, this means that nobody is forward for Thunder Talk. They're now trapped on the outside, out in the cold, and Thunder Talk are getting rinsed right now.
Rinsed indeed, but I love that angle from King. Alva play this very, very carefully. Even if Thunder Talk wins this fight, like you said, they are in dire straits, and I really do think that's a huge oversight. This duo should have pushed up on him and taken him down. Having Alva on that off angle was detrimental to Thunder Talk. Obviously, your duo ends up falling, and now you're leaving. You gain 0 value. The timid fights do not work out if you want to be a champion.
I mean, much like the Omnidroid from The Incredibles, right? The only thing tough enough to take down an Alter Ego player in this match is themselves. The only thing that has taken one of them down fully is that team nade. And that's not the sort of coordination that you want to see coming on through, especially in Mill to Power on a circle like this. You know, it's so important to have everybody alive in a central location in these early circles, right? You want to transition in towards the late game. They've pushed up towards 30 points, though. And they will be okay for the time being, and playing on a 3. Not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world, but see how that game ends up unfolding. Smile barely, just a nick of health, and manages to get away. Team Secret applying the pressure. Yangon Galactica's Team Secret rotating maybe up north, then dropping down south through Naya. Team Secret could get a drop on them if they continue to progress forward, which could be great for playing a gatekeeper role. For now, just trying to heal up and just really recover. For Team Secret, though, unfortunately, I think they're going to lose at least 1 into blue, if I'm not mistaken. For Barnett, though, he's moving up.
So are the rest of the team. At least several of them are trying to go in pursuit here, hopping out, going for the spray. Xeroyt has to divert, send back behind the headland. Is there an off-angle hop out? No. But the blue zone will do a little bit more damage here. We're only at stage 1, so this is very, very survivable on these rotates. It's not really going to do much more to them, and those sims already on the bar there for Xeroyt mean that he's got to stay very, very healthy here, unless a couple more shots connect, which it doesn't look like they're going to. Sending over the north side of the Yaz Lake. I imagine that Yangon Galacticos are going to divert. Not too keen to go in behind them, but we'll have to wait and see. The plane path, sorry, the next circle just about to come on through.
Yeah, Yangon Galacticos, I thought we're going to take the roadway and then cut through, but Say Cloud has stayed up top. He wants presence behind Team Secret. Meanwhile, the other 3 are in fact going to go in succession down low, and Say Cloud does deviate away, maybe wanting to stay in Team Secret's mindsets, but getting tightly contested in the southern portion. And E-Arena versus Falcons, a team that's been on the struggle bus, or E-Arena. I love the way that they've been playing. Granted, today, they've been falling flat, so this fight critical for both rosters.
E-Arena disengaged from that one. They had the numbers advantage. Perhaps they were reading too much into the circle. They thought, if we can't conclude this fight immediately, there's a third-party potential. But they had a massive advantage in that fight. Only 2 of the Falcons were on the inside. I'm not too sure about the decision to disengage it, but we'll see how they can play on from here. Meantime, Power looking to rack up even more elims. They're now up to 1 on the tables, and that's going to put them up on 26 with no placement points.
Taking down Noxium Red Force would be huge for them, mind you. I really feel, based off of that last play in the last map where Noxium Red Force had center zone, had the hardcover POI and pushed out, I feel that was a massive oversight. But potentially starting to get into their own heads. So for Power, pushing this fight could be big. For Weibo, well, we can't even stay upright. We got 4 wills. Well, they decide to use 2.
They're going to maintain course, though. Self-righting, going all the way out west for a wide wrap from Weibo to go out on that west side bridge. APG, they're ahead. Alpha Gaming will send over that east side bridge, fairly uncontested now, and they are sending up north. Yeah, this is just the continuing long rotate from Weibo to go out to all the way on that west side. They're getting across the bridge. They'll be pushing in from around Potato Hill, but don't expect to see them for another 2 minutes.
That's right. We won't see them for a long time. For APG, well, you saw what the game plan was. They were setting up to gatekeep Weibo. So this long rotate, in my opinion, was critical for Weibo. They only had one choice, and that was to take the western side bridge. For APG, they don't see any Weibo members. Okay, we move on out and start to progress towards Milta, maybe towards Power. Meanwhile, though, we do have Regnum Karya potentially setting up a trap on Hora, who's going to be up just ahead. A team that played so well through the early stages, now struggling today.
I mean, they're sequestered right up into the cliffs over Prison. It does severely limit their sightlines here for Regnum Karya. They're going to have to try just gather that info from the sound. They have got that outpost Silas a little bit disparate from them. We'll be rotating around, feeding back a little bit more info. But for the time being, they are a little bit crunched in here. Hora a little bit less so. They've got a little bit more leeway on the side of that Prison cliff face. Teams trying to get central. Nobody really getting too aggy with it just now. It's only Thunder Talk who have lost 2 players and a couple of those earlier elims coming on through as well.
See DRX off in the distance. They've got a couple of teams in their line of sights. Like you said, nobody getting aggro just yet. We see a zone shift up towards the north. For the majority of teams, they're already pretty much sequestered where they currently are. For the rosters like Power, APG, Thunder Talk, the Duo, Alter Egos. Weibo finally starting to get their first member out of the blue zone as they head up towards north through school. Maybe even towards Gangon Galacticus. But everybody rotating in. I'm hearing a lot more shots this time around. No surprise for Falcons. Oh, I'm hoping Regnum Karya does not crash into him, and it looks like they're not going to. Even Silas taking too much damage for his own good.
Yeah, crashing in on that position with the number of third parties available. Maybe a death sentence, but instead they turn over towards the dip, and it's 4 Thrives who are eating lead left and right. That is nasty. The team from Pakistan is going to be eliminated very, very quickly.
4 Thrives get melted off the map. You know, a team that dominated throughout group stage, struggling today. We questioned those days off throughout survival stage. Would it be helpful? Would it not? Well, for 4 Thrives, they need to get their legs back underneath them. But Power's also rotating in. Ragnar taking a ton of damage. We got Wild also falling. Ragnar now down. Haji getting active. Ida's going to fall. It's just a mass amount of teams and bodies on the ground in this area. Haji getting the cleanup. Starkin up ahead, cooking a nade. And this nade, if placed right, could be devastating to Power.
Darkin unleashes it over towards Fadan. The bounce is good. And it will connect for the knock. Haji now, the last player alive for Power. They have 4 elims. They'll want a little bit more. And he's now got a nade cooking. They know where Ida is playing, and nobody's getting out of this dip unscathed. The nade goes long, and Darkin pushes forwards. Haji around the smoke, goes for the spray, and of course he connects it. But there's the shutdown from the off angle. Fireflux shut everything down, and there is no one alive.
We just lost 3 teams just like that in one engagement. Fireflux playing spoiler, and we'll talk on that in just a second. Team Secret now against Alter Egos. You called it. Caster Curse, nobody getting aggro. Well, now we got everyone getting aggro all at the same time. Krypton going to pick up Ayala over in the corner, and another team has been lost. We just lost 4 teams in the span of about 45 seconds.
That was insane. 4 teams went into that dip, and none of them got out of it. It was insane.
Wow.
It was being held, I believe, originally by 4 Thrives.
Yes.
Then both Regnum Karya and Ida crashed in at the same time, and then Power lapped in over the top. Wow. Fireflux were just like, this is ridiculous, guys. You need to chill out. They put them in the cooler, and it's going to maintain Power's record of getting no placement points, but they still get 5 elims on this match.
It's such a bummer, though, for Power, because Haji is the last one standing. He's the champion of the team fights. 4 teams in one area, and then Fireflux says, hey, good job, buddy. I got you. Takes him right down. Either way, like you said, 5 elims. You got to be happy with that. For Alter Egos at 5 themselves, and of course, another zone shift going to be taking place. But yeah, that was probably one of the craziest fights we've seen today.
Absolutely insane stuff. A hard south shift, and this is going to help out teams like DRX, like Falcons, if they can hold their nerve out in the open. A lot of open ground, right? We saw how difficult it is to approach this Falcons position. When it gets closer and closer on the circle, it gets slightly easier, right? Because there's fewer and fewer positions that sit around them that can take those third-party shots. There's fewer teams that are potentially going to third-party on towards you. So Falcons, their strength is really good right now in terms of position, but that will start to falter when the teams around them start to get involved, start to get dropped. But I'm expecting to see them into this one deep, potentially up to stage 6.
I was looking at this Thunder talk. We see a replay coming in. This is the team secret fight versus alter egos, and Xzeroyt is putting in work, but it was Krypton who was able to even up the odds, silence Team Secret, and send them packing to the next game. Weibo, Thunder Talk finally back on your screen, and well, not for long as one is taken down immediately.
PEL derby right now between Weibo and Thunder Talk, but it seems pretty clean, done and dusted. 3 players alive for Weibo and 1 for Thunder Talk. Together they make a full team, but there's no cooperation here. It's Xing sending off into the horizon.
Xing is gone. Thunder Talk's been in survival mode since the early goings of this game. 2 eliminations. You're not too happy with that. Maybe some placement points will help you out. Doc with a great angle. Maybe surprise some members from DRX up ahead if you can get a line of sight on him. Nobody can be seen just yet, but Doc is a guy that's sneaky, and if he sees you, he's taking you down.
Nongshim Red Force, they've got 2 players alive, 1 further back. Let's hope that they can do a little bit better, although with only 2 players right on the edge here, it's going to be difficult. That shelter position can keep them alive for quite a while. Xing takes a couple of shots over towards Seoul, who's actually going to reposition away from this one, but Xing has to push a little bit further in. He's going to go into the wake of APG, so Alpha Gaming going to actually allow this rotate to happen.
He fired a couple of shots, nearly getting it down. The fact that he's still alive is incredible. This is where Doc was, I believe, and actually, excuse me, Doc's going to be on the opposite side. And so this Doc will stay where he's currently at to overlook everybody who's going to be up. You got DRX still up in the distance. So DRX in a pretty precarious spot, if I had to say so, because Nongshim Red Force is over there. They have a presence. And then you also have another one from a distance. Xing narrowly avoiding getting squashed. 33Z hops out. And finally, Thunder Talk will fall. Again, surviving for the longest time. But one by one, they were picked apart until they were finally eliminated.
And in their wake, this rotate will be pursued down by Hora, who are going to move out now to this southeast side. All 4 of their players are alive, and they're looking for a good game here. Having underperformed so far in the first 3 matches, they're going to try and take on some PEL representatives as they are going to try and find that wrap back around. The smoke's keeping them safe, but both of these 2 teams are actually right up and against the blue zone. Hora overextending now, and they are going to fold back in towards themselves, play that east side. They actually lose a player to Krypton over on that north edge, so they can't really afford to place too much pressure on this south side.
Question is, do they? Hora continues to get closer and closer. Krypton maybe tempting that he wants to get away. Alva has dipped himself. But Krypton will continue to fight, and you know, he's a scary player. 4 eliminations already, John, and a guy that can very well take down the entirety of the Hora roster if they're not careful. For Sky, he needs to keep his head on a swivel. He's going to be the one to truly shut down Krypton if he makes an attempt to maybe challenge No Fear and Sleepy up ahead.
Chance there with 4 elims. Krypton is pumping today. Doing a lot of work for the roster, but with only 2 players against the 3, they do have the disadvantage. They're on the outskirts as well. Their options fairly limited. I wouldn't be too surprised to see them try and sweep up north. With Hora pushing into the tower, they're going to be a little bit less mobile, not going to be as easily able to go in pursuit, but they could equally try and find Sky, and that looks like maybe what they're going to try and do here. Wrap back around, play on the backside here, and open up a window of opportunity for themselves. But Weibo Gaming are just over that ridgeline, and Krypton in danger now. Sky has to go for the reload, and it's actually barely low on ammo here.
Oh, but yeah, it was Alva, so the car was a distraction. Alva was pushing up, and now he's getting pressure by Hora as they push in. Alva, a sliver of health, taken down by No Fear. Krypton now damage control. He's got Weibo to his flanks, and now you've got one alter ego member of Krypton right smack dab in between Weibo and the Hora roster. So Hora got to make a decision. Who do we challenge first? Krypton to solo, Weibo up ahead. Do we disengage and maybe go a little bit further into zone? I would not want to be them making that decision.
If I'm Weibo, I'm letting the blue zone handle Krypton, and I think it's a similar call for Hora right now. You just need to negotiate.
Do they know he's
wait
there?
for him to leave. They should know, right? He's taken shots back over towards Hora earlier on in that engagement. So they should know that there's a player down this hill. You don't need to put this much pressure on. This is overexposing potentially to the Hora position. And Order's getting a little bit froggy.
Yeah, he definitely is. He definitely is. No fears right there. Ready to apex this hill. Krypton to the right. This is going to get spicy indeed. Nade cooking. Krypton going on the attack. Surely No Fear takes down Krypton in this moment, but no, Krypton's going to be free and clear to make this push up. He finally starts to take a little bit of damage, and rightly so. It was No Fear along with Order who takes him down, Order getting the elimination. Now, Weibo can put all their eggs in one basket and focus on Hora, who's up ahead.
They can try and now turn and get ahead of this one. They do still have a couple of players in tow. They've got that outpost down to the southwest side in 33Z, who's been scouting, who's been gathering that information. Hora, they've been locked into this fight for a while. Looking at the rest of the circle, meanwhile, Falcons, they've been chilling in their building for a long, long time now. They have managed to rack up 3 Elim points and actually make that maybe a couple more as the nades land over towards Fireflux. They're going to have to think about getting out of this business, though, for the time being. They are right on the edge of the circle. They'll be safe for now. DRX have been holding out on the southwest for a nice while as well, but Yangon Galacticos going to be putting pressure on. I feel like that's the next crash coming on through, and SayCloud's going to send it.
Yeah, absolutely going to be the next fight. Falcons, mind you, also focused on Fireflux over here in the shed. They took a little bit of damage from DRX. In fact, Redox is going to fall once again. Scarface getting some shots. SayCloud onto Quiz. You mentioned it, Yangon Galacticos starting to push up, but they've also taken some damage, a downed player, so they're going to have to go at it 3 strong. So we have an immense amount of fights. Falcons versus Fireflux, Yangon Galacticos going against DRX, and the winners potentially controlling the entirety of the western portion of Zone.
It's going to be really difficult to move as Falcons when Yangon Galacticos or DRX are able to claim this one, but so far nobody is dead on that southwest border. All the teams there have 4 players alive, both of them maintaining the entire roster. Alpha could potentially have an impact here with Top and Seoul on the south side, but I imagine they're going to be thinking more about going east. You can see Top trying to hold face, and around this shelter entrance, it's just nobody making that first move right now, and they can chill out for a little bit longer with the circle.
APG can be truly punishing to DRX. The only thing stopping them from shooting, I believe, are the smokes. They just can't get the line of sight. But Top should have infinite vision. In fact, he's going to get active. So there's going to be Top on one full finish on one DRX member who's now starts to push up. This gives an opportunity for Yangon Galacticos to start firing at DRX as well. Weibo says enough is enough. Takes down an APG member. 33Z also taking a tremendous amount of damage. It comes to show you literally nobody is safe. And Weibo on the outskirts of Zone, fully eliminated.
It's in circles like this that you've got to think potentially Fireflux could have a chance if this fight on the southwest side doesn't conclude, but it looks like Yangon have isolated their entrance and will be playing on fairly convincingly. SayCloud very likely to get this knock on the Horman. That should be an easy pickup for them behind the rock, sure, but you have to dash out to try and find that res, and with only Joker left standing, they don't have a lot of time to get this one. Currently,
Yangon Galacticos have a beautiful spot where they are at. If the zone favors them on the next shift, they are going to be set up very nicely to control the end game. Of course, depending on what DRX and APG decide to do from their current position. For Falcons, they refuse to move, but now they have to start going a little bit more forward, which means E-Arena are very much ready for them. But the good news is Mormon was taken down just a little bit ago. He's down but not out, and E-Arena have to make a decision. Do we want the pickup? Well, now they don't have a choice. Sakura also gone. Romeo taking him out, so YG getting active, and now Ralph says, I'm pushing up. I'm taking the advantage in the mid zone. Here comes the Falcons.
The north side now could conclude, and the Falcons may have all the leverage they need to try and leapfrog south. But you can see how flat and open it is, which gives Yangon Galacticos so much power, so many sightlines over towards E-Arena especially. Romeo is laying down the law from the high ground there. DRX wants the challenge. They've gone out of the other entrance, and now they're trying to try and maintain that high ground with their 3 players moving on in. But no, it's Hora doing a lot of work, but Hyunbin still has a little bit more gas left in the tank. Unfortunately, he will draw short, and QZ across the way gonna have to try and hide now behind the rocks, but will be pushed by that blue zone. DRX on the precipice.
And it looks like Falcons, the Arena are also popping up against each other. Joker is going to fall, so is Sakura. Fully eliminated. E-Arena are out of there. And now Falcons have a good foothold on the northern part of the zone. So really, Falcons, Yangon Galacticos in an absolute power spot, you would have to assume, unless the solo from DRX can dismantle piece by piece the Yangon Galacticos roster just up ahead. And let's not forget Scarface, another solo for Fireflux, who's going to be dead center. Falcons get blessed by zone. Yangon Galacticos now have to push up, and so does Hora.
With this zone, it keeps this little hill that you can see in front of Koa inside this zone. And you're right, they are getting blessed. But if Redox keeps going down like this, it's going to get a little bit more tenuous here on the northern side. Redox not happy. Behind the wall for Falcons to flex back out. I don't know if they can commit to this. They'd have to expend a lot of smokes. In the meantime, Yangon Galacticos, they are going to have to make a move.
Yes, they got to push forward, and there's a lot of open space. They've been hanging out next to this cave for the longest time. I don't blame them, but now the time to get active is in, and you got No Fear, who's been doing such a great job from a distance, being detrimental to each and every roster he's come across. So he's going to be the X factor for me for the Horde roster, at least when Yangon Galactica starts to rotate over. For the solo from DRX, I don't know if he's going to be able to survive this. I really don't. But for him, all eyes on YG, who now start to move forward. This is going to answer our question of who takes this game. If Yangon Galacticos get mowed down now by Falcons, it is going to be all Falcons for the victory.
With Ralph moving out to the west side to go for the res onto Redox, they're actually west side bolstered right now on the Falcons roster. So Yangon Galacticos potentially picking the wrong time to go for this one. And with Hora on that side swipe, this road crossing is nigh on untraversable. As Hora actually going to try and backfill on this rotate and play on the south side. This could be a great play coming through from Hora. They'll finally get rid of Scarface, who was on a sliver of HP, and now it seems to be a two-horse race.
If I'm Falcons, I'm paying close attention to Hora starting to move up. Fireflux are now gone. We're getting deep into it. Only 4 more teams remain, and really one of them is inconsequential. It's only a solo from DRX. A mini red zone starting to form. Say Cloud trying to get back onto his feet. Smile desperately needs this. Yangon Galacticos with the desperation push forward gets picked apart. Romeo down, and it's Falcons from Koa taking him out.
A little ridgeline to play around, a couple of vehicles keeping them safe from Hora for the time being. Yangon Galacticos may be able to stay up as 2, but Smile down behind that vehicle, and that crate has been beautiful for No Fear. He's going to try and get a little bit more though. They're putting pressure onto the Falcons because of the rotate out to the west side to deal with that res, to get Yangon Galacticos out of the mix. Hora taking the timing of this very, very well, and they get that flex out to the side, but Falcons are piecing themselves back together and out over towards Narvalo. Koa finds that retreat, and things simmer down.
No Fear has been the guy, the linchpin for the Horde roster, and now he has totally caught Redox and Ralph off guard. They know where he's at, but he still has such a great advantage. Now this rotate's going to be big, and Koa is going to knock down one. A second is also going to fall. Horde starting to collapse. No Fear needs to get active. A Hail Mary attempt, but is this Falcons? It looks to be the case. No Fear, does he have it in him to clutch this up while he continues to push up? Falcons can hit the shots needed, but they finally do it, and Falcons will get their first win during this, the grand final stage.
A big finish for the Falcons. The north side control was great. That first rotation on in to the mansion to play on that location. They held ground, and on the north side, nobody challenged them. I felt like Hora maybe were able to slip the noose there, but in the end, they were hung out to dry, and that is a beautiful way to close it down. A nice chunk of elims as well added on to the Falcons count. But not only that, Yangon Galacticos, they're pulling down numbers in that final serve.
Without a doubt, and you're going to also give their flowers over to Horde. Horde needed some points. They were down in 13th place at the start of the game. Getting that second is going to be massive. And while the same thing could be said for Fireflux, surviving as long as they did, yes, it's not going to be a tremendous amount, but it's at least a start. It's something. It gives you new life. It's only game number 4. 2 more to go today, and therefore a big chance to rise up the ranks. There it is. Our final Erangel has concluded. Team Falcons on top. 2 Miramars coming your way after the break.
Reach your impossible. Lenovo Legion.
The highly anticipated addition to the Mummy series outfits is here. Paired with the new Ice Tube Glider, the Polar Spectrophage set is just what you need to freeze your enemies. Or send them ablaze with the Inferno Feed set's new upgradable Chain Inferno Uzi. All the Mummy outfits are back. Get them all. Join now and collect the whole series to turn all eyes on the battleground. Event period, July 10th, 2025 through September 2nd, 2025.
Falcons flying high for the last Erangel of the day for day number 1 of the Grand Finals and looking to be one step closer towards that trophy. Joining me, Neptura, as well as Seven to talk about this game. Neptura, Falcons had a good compound and they were able to play it out nicely in the end.
Finally, it's about time we see something from the Falcons. Dare I say I want to see a little bit more. I wasn't entirely pleased with how that game went, but they got the win. That's what they needed to do. Fair enough, right? I did like how they played some of those things. I want to start off by saying that initial push onto Fireflux was the wrong play, and I thought that. I was like, no, you need to be looking at E-Arena. They did in the end on the circle shift. They were able to take them out completely. That frees up the north side of the zone, really able to then do what they want. I will say, Seven, Hora really tried their best. Some really nice controlling angles that they got there, but I think Narvalo in particular, able to have that off angle, really helped. For me, the Falcons, I think that they should have done a little bit more play. They still played a little bit too defensively, but in the end, they started to split off a little bit. It was much better.
Well, here's the head-to-head brought to you by the Saudi National Bank team. Falcons versus Hora from this previous game. Hora doing quite a bit of work, doing quite a lot of damage here, 7 overall, but not quite able to keep up with Team Falcons, mainly thanks to that circle shift towards the end.
Yeah, Team Falcons having that circle shift that definitely helped them big time. And I think one of the main worries that I had looking at Team Falcons was that they just weren't spreading enough. They weren't gaining enough control of that circle. And meanwhile, Hora was being able to do that. But due to the fact that Hora has just been fighting so many teams that whole match, and they had already lost a player, it became almost near impossible. As soon as Sky went down trying to get that off angle, it was set and done for Falcons to be able to get the win. But I got to give compliments to Hora. I have been enjoying those splits that this team has been doing. They have gone from 1-2-1 splits, 3-1, and then they end up mixing it up to everybody just going solo. They're making sure that they just get a lot of the zone, and they were able to do that perfectly at one point. They had full control of the southeast.
But Falcons will walk away with 22 points there with the 12 eliminations, thanks to Narvalo, the Frenchman. We love the French being able to hold on to that position towards the top there. Neptura is able to overlook exactly what was going on and hold their opponents at bay.
You know what's so interesting about the overalls being so close as well? Is Falcons were at the bottom of the leaderboard with 22 points. They are now looking at the top 8, which is a really nice setup for the last 2 games of the day, going into tomorrow as well. This is exactly, I think, the right timing for them to get a win, because now that mindset should be super refreshed.
Did Power get a lot of eliminations and no placement points against Evan?
Power's like placement points. What are those? We're just going to go with, you know what? Let's continue to be aggressive. Yeah, they ended up with 5 eliminations. No surprise there out of that team. DRX, I was actually really surprised at the push that DRX ended up doing on Young Galacticos. They thought that maybe they were going to be able to just win that engagement, but little did they know Hora was looking to third party that fight, and it kind of opened later the area of just for Hora to try to gain more control of the circles.
Yeah, that's kind of the important thing when you get a shift like that, right, Neptura? The fact that those teams down in the south, they're very likely to not win out that game. So focus on those eliminations down to the south with the Yangon and the Hora situation going on. And Hora was able to do that brilliantly, I think, in those final moments.
They were. I mean, I think Yangon did the only thing they could do. It's so open. It's such a wide area to use. They did what they could. Hora were very, very proactive. I love this new Hora that we're seeing, that they're able to not only control and be passive, but also be super aggressive and take those fights.
Yeah, and for Yangon, I got to give him some props, because as you mentioned, they did exactly what they needed to do, which was making sure that they were proactive and backing people off. They made DRX back off early on. DRX ultimately wanted to take that fight. It didn't end up working out. And for Young Galacticos, they were looking at E-Arena. They were making sure that they made the rotations hard. They were just trying to get any point possible getting those eliminations. I wish they would have made a sooner decision on just making a full push towards where Team Falcons was. That would have been the winning play for that squad.
Potentially. And now, though, with Erangel done, we move on to Miramar and see how it's going to play out for the last 2 games here of the day. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the numbers, see who's able to perform. And you've got teams in there like Hora. I think Weibo as well still needs to do a little bit more here. Neptura overall. Alter Ego, strong in that first game of the day, but so far beyond that, been a bit more quiet, I think.
They have. It's almost like they're waiting for something, which makes me nervous, because last time they just kind of held their peace and waited a little while. We saw a very strong day from them, so we'll see about that. I am interested as well, though. I'm kind of surprised that APG are not here. Alpha Gaming, not on this list. Historically, a team that's very, very good on Miramar, just not making those numbers.
Yeah, one of the teams that I'm going to be looking at that was there towards the top is going to be none other than Rangnam Karya. This team has been so aggressive. I feel like going into Miramar, I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit more tactical play out of this squad, being able to actually take their time scout, because right now it's just full go, go, go whenever they do end up pushing. And you can see Young Galacticos with that play doing just enough, being in first place.
Just 11 points between number 1 and 8th. But yes, as you say, Yangon Galacticos being able to wrestle away number 1 from Alter Ego is definitely a big move. What are you laughing at? What's wrong?
I just find it insane that we are in the grand finals of PMWC at EWC 25, and Power Esports somehow has managed to find themselves 4th place, 0 placement points, 30 eliminations.
It bears repeating. I'm worried in case they do start getting placement points here.
Right?
They could rocket up the leaderboards with also the elimination power that they're showing. And this isn't the power that I saw in the group stage. I was like, okay, they're sitting pretty, they're waiting, they're sitting in Milta, they're moving out and getting themselves a win, a slow win as it were. But they're just all guns blazing at the moment, Neptune. It's crazy.
They really are. I think it goes to show again that sometimes going to survival stage is incredibly beneficial. They've had those 2 extra days to really get their stride, get that momentum going, and now look at them.
Definitely impressive stuff. We'll see if this can continue. Imagine if they finished it with just like no placement points, but like 90 limbs.
Please do that. That's what I want. That'll be me unboxing a surprise.
You'd be very excited. And let's all unbox together because the PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is now live. Don't miss out the final 3 days this weekend. Log in to summon your supply airdrop and collect 2025 airdrop vouchers for your chance to win official merch, smartphones, BD partner rewards, permanent in-game items, and more. Every participate is guaranteed rewards. So come and get those unboxings done. All these players, they can't unbox right now because they're ready to get into Miramar. So without further ado, thank you very much, guys. It is time to head over to the Dusty Dunes. It's Miramar. Let's get it for the penultimate game of the day.
Falcons are able to rise again with a chicken dinner in match number 4 on the day, but they need to keep pace now. Oh, goodness me. Try not to swallow the water next time.
Yeah.
But either way, they are going to have to try and keep pace with the top page because they have managed to breach there. But, you know, Power currently no placement points, still ahead of them, right? There's a little bit more to do. And if you want to keep track of exactly what every single one of our players is doing during the PMWC, you can on our official map feed on the PUBG Mobile esports channel. You can see where everybody's rotating all the time, all day. It is useful if you want to break things down, if you want to get a little insight as to what teams are doing at every step of the match.
That's it, isn't it? Well, hey, we're getting into Miramar, and you mentioned Falcons, but I love what the desk said about Power. It's insane how high up the standings they are purely based off of eliminations, and you do raise the question, they start getting placement points, I think they're going to be the champions. I really do, at least based off of their performance over the 4 games that we have witnessed. It is spectacular, and I think a rarity, really, to see how well Power is doing, and, well, you got to appreciate it. You got to love it. Falcons jump up the standings. Power still doing very, very well. Yangon Galacticus taking over first place for the Alter Ego Eris team, who was there for the longest time. Things are shifting about, and the most important thing, right, is to make sure you are the team going into day 3 setting the threshold.
With 6 matches to play today, getting anything over 50 points will be great news. I mean, the biggest games that we've seen, or days rather, that we've seen for teams like Nongshim Red Force, I think, they were able to get over 60 points in a single day.
That's right.
So getting up there would be phenomenal. But the fact is, this table is looking really flat. You can guarantee that there's going to be a little bit more volatility towards the top side of these tables with how close things are. I mean, from first place down towards, getting on towards 8th, right? There's an 11-point difference. That's really closable, especially in these stages of the tournament where teams are able to take those risks. That's one big game, and all of a sudden, you're on the top of the pile.
Well, to put it in perspective, what Falcons, I believe, was in 14th or so place going into that last game. They end up getting the winner chicken dinner, 12 eliminations, putting them all the way up in top 6. And mind you, they are only just 3 points away from breaking into top 3. That's how close it is. So a lot of volatility. Things are going to continue to shift within our top 5. And, well, with Alpha 7 not being here, the championship is wide open. Anybody can take it. The question is, who wants it the most? The players themselves are the ones that control their destiny. Map number 5, we're heading into Miramar. Where are we going?
Playing path on the south side this time around, from Valle de Mar over towards Impala. So north entrance a little bit difficult, so potentially tricky to get towards. Of course, now uncontested because Alpha 7 did so badly that they weren't able to make it into this stage of the tournament. Falcons would be alone on there, but they have to get there first, and the question is, do they want to get out there? It's about 3 kilometers away from this plane path, maybe a little bit more actually, so it could be difficult to get up towards. But that western path rotate can be nice and friendly. It's a question of getting those vehicles on side though, as we head on in. Our plane now just crossing Chumasera.
Don't think we're going to have any hot drops, at least based off of where I believe these teams are going to be landing for our first Miramar in Grand Finals of Day 1, but there is always a chance, right? Things get spicy. Even though people put their landing zones out there, doesn't mean they're not willing to change it up and take a team by surprise. And, well, that could very well happen. I believe going even back to the survival stage, we had a bit of a hot drop over in El Pozo. That was an area that we were watching very, very closely. So maybe we see a repeat of that. Falcons over on the left-hand side by Hora. That's going to be an interesting one if they decide to land next to each other. Very curious where this next zone, or first zone, I should say, is going to pop up, because that's going to tell the true story of what we can expect.
Ooh, I'm looking at Picardo right now. There's a lot of teams in the air over it right now. Could be difficult. Power definitely looking to try and drop there. I think Ida are going to go a little bit longer, as are Nongshim Red Force. Regnum Kaya disengaging from it as well. Down towards Puerto Paraíso. A little bit close by for DRX and Weibo, but they will chill out. So nobody getting too aggy right now. West Coast, though, could be Falcons getting spotted.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Falcons, Hora, well, they're relatively close to each other. Obviously trying to land on those vehicles so they can have them for rotates, maybe even we're taking high ground a little bit later on, but they do separate themselves. I always gets concerned when I start to see some split drops, and at least coming into this, I was expecting at least 3 split drops, which we do get a couple of them. But Falcons by far taking the cake with Ralph all the way in the south, forced to go up north to join Narvalo and Koa, which he's going to be doing exactly that. Horner, though, not far behind necessarily. I'm curious if they decide to challenge the solo of Ralph, that they choose to get spicy.
I don't think this is a good idea. If Oro want to head up towards the north, I wouldn't be surprised to see them send all the way to a place like Cobraria, currently unoccupied. I think chasing down the solo, if they can get the shots, sure, but if Ralph can get over towards El Pozzo as soon as he goes in, I don't think if you're Oro, you want to commit here, right? And the fact is that there's about 600, 700 meters between these two teams. I don't think that they're going to be able to catch this one. But I think heading up to La Cobraria on a circle like this is potentially a little bit better of a decision to make, right? In this scenario, you'll be up on that north side. You know not too many teams are going to be there. You'll be out early over towards that north side on a circle like this, and they're going to be able to find it. Okay, hang on a minute. Maybe they are going to try and clip the back of Falcons, but yeah, I don't rate the decision to chase this one down.
Right.
You don't want hot drops, right?
Right.
Sure, you might be able to pick up a point early.
Oh, they're close.
Alvaro, actually, who's already had some looting time, might actually take some shots out.
He should.
This is why you don't want to pursue too far.
Oh, gets a little bit of damage onto Jiggle, but not enough to drop him. If Hora was wanting to pursue Falcons, I believe those shots ringing out is going to change their minds, and they'll continue to go up north. And for Falcons, they'll continue to distance themselves, go towards El Pozo, and loot up. So this fight most likely not going to happen anymore. Maybe Hora was thinking about it, but the shots were enough to deter them. Now we start to look more into the stage, and Nongshim Red Force, great spot central. We also have Alter Egos, who are set up quite nicely. They've got the 2-2 split, plenty of loot between them. And I think Alter Egos are due for a pretty decent game. I'm kind of feeling, I don't know, my senses are telling me Alter Egos, this is their game to take.
Now what's going to happen is Power are going to get a chicken dinner with 0 elim.
Oh, show 0 elim?
Yeah, anyone looking at the table would be like, oh, that's a normal amount. But no, it'll be the weirdest 10 to 30 split you've ever seen in your life.
That's right, that's right.
Goodness me. No, I'm not entirely sure, of course. There's still 16 teams, 64 players who are in this one. However, Power are in a very central location on this, just out to the east of Hacienda del Patron, with Thunder Talk out to their further east as well. They're in a nice little compound and they can chill out for the time being. We're up to about 5 minutes now, which means looting phase should be over for a lot of the teams that hit ground early. So teams like Power, who dropped Picardo, they should be done and dusted. However, teams like Aura and Falcons, they're going to be out and looting for a little bit longer, maybe up to minute 6, 7 potentially, if Aura actually don't settle down.
Yeah, they are moving and grooving. The good thing for them, the entire northern zone of this stage is wide open, including those hilltops that they can take over if they so decide. I do start to look towards Fireflux, however. Regnum Caria, E Arena, Team Secret, relatively close, and DRX is getting very close to E Arena, mind you. They are pushing straight in. You notice on your screen top left, there will be an E Arena member. If DRX keep their head on a swivel, they might start taking some shots, taking some damage.
Looks like they're going to keep things nice and linear. A nice spread out train. Good spacing for DRX on their rotate. Keep on the southeast flank. And of course, we always advise against all rotating in the same vehicle, especially early and especially on Miramar. Getting spotted out can be disastrous. So taking this 4-player convoy is exactly how you want to be operating. If you guys are home and trying to pick up some tips, that's a good one. Early on, playing split, you're very, very mobile. You're a little bit more flexible. That's what DRX are looking for as they head to the east of Minas Generalis, up towards potentially where Alter Ego and Team Secret are playing.
And also for Fourth Rives in the same path as Ida as they continue to move up north. we take a look at Yangon Galacticus, a team that has been performing incredibly well. Currently first place, off the back of a third place game number 4. They've been highly consistent, been waiting for this roster to truly show what they're made of. I think today has been the shining example of what we can expect Yangon Galacticus to truly be. They'll be rotating up north kind of in the same fashion that Horda did a little bit earlier, opposite of Falcons, probably most likely going above where Falcons are at. But I do have some concern if that is going to be the case, because there's not going to be a lot of areas they can truly park the bus, because Falcons and Horda are controlling that area, and there is an opportunity for Yangon Galacticus if they go a little bit too far north to get pincered between both of those rosters, so they have to play this carefully.
4 Thrives taking up position on the high ground. Fireflux, they've caught the arena, and that's 2 of them going down very, very quickly, and that's a 3rd as well. Oh no, this is nasty news for the team at the bottom of the tables as well. Oh dear, that's 2 players now remain for them. And this crash is going quite well for Fireflux to regroup on this spot. Tony K, Joker, that's another one sent on in, and Scarface handles business. This is what we've been waiting to see from Fireflux today. They were highly performant in the survival stages, and that is what we've been looking out for.
And Solus with the M249 shooting the bodies. Fireflux has awoken from their slumber. 13th place no longer. They want to be up in the top 5 off the back of our last 2 games. Nice to see them finally getting active for E-Arena. Well, a team that was truly the shining examples throughout the survival stage, struggling tremendously, and even surprising the fact that they get their compound taken over, because one of the shining examples about E-Arena that I truly started becoming a much more fan of was their ability to hold down hardcover POIs. You could not break in. It didn't matter if there was 2 or 3 teams challenging their house. They were going to hold it down. In this case, though, they don't, and they fully get wiped, and Fireflux stays up nice and strong, and they've got a great spot in the current zone. Let's see what the next one holds.
Hey, you know what? E-Arena still have the moves. Have you seen those walkouts at the start of the day? I saw the moonwalk today, hitting them with the MJ.
Was it good?
Yeah, the Michael well. It was acceptable. It was certainly identifiable. Circle over to the east side here for phase 2. A lot of open ground to the east side of San Martin and Hacienda del Patron. Currently, the center of the circle still occupied by Alter Ego and quite a big spread. I imagine they're going to want to look to get back together here with DRX on the south flank, with Thunder Talk as well on a bit of a split, but a lot closer together. About 600 meters sits between both of their outposts here for Thunder Talk.
Well, same narrative for me for Yangon Galacticus. I was concerned maybe they would pincer themselves in between Falcons and Horda, but they do decide to stay on the outskirts of the zone. But even so, they're still going to have to deal with Falcons or Horda most likely once they start to come in. And now you add in 4 Thrives. You got 4 teams who could be contesting each other on the northern zone of the current stage. That's going to be a fight to watch out for without question. But for Power, the high ground is in. Fireflux is very aware of this, but you got to appreciate the current power position from Power Esports.
Easy with the high ground over towards Ketch. I think they're both aware of each other's position here and just biding their time. Of course, these positions on these plateaus always look so powerful. The difficulty is as soon as you get knocked or as soon as you take a challenge and maybe you get a little bit too bold, you go down. It's a massive mission to try and get you back up, right? You have to either send another player up there or you have to drop down when you've already been knocked and someone has to rotate out towards you. It takes a lot of time, a lot of investment on that, so you do need to be very careful with those high ground positions.
Fireflux going to be opposite of them. Falcons continue to move up, managed to stay alive for quite some time. The only shots, the only activity we see from them so far was firing on Sleepy. It was on the back of a buggy. Sort of started to rotate up. Yangon Galacticus taking a huge rotate north. They'll most likely drop south. A lot more distance between them than I was expecting. I really thought they were going to be closely contested. You do have 4 Thrives with Naki and Co, who's going to be very close to the Falcons roster. They start to huddle up and potentially crash in on each other. For Weibo, they do have Team Secret in their line of sights, but this 4 Thrives Falcons fight, yeah, it's going down.
Koa diverts almost immediately, but will he be able to get away here? I'm not sure if the cover's going to be there. Just about escapes. Not unscathed, though, and that vehicle's going to be low, as is his health bar. Navallo just putting a little bit of suppression down. They will try and maintain the outskirts here on the northern end, and they'll be okay for the time being.
Okay, for the time being, as you said, staying alive just a little bit longer. They kind of tempted fate push into Fourth Thrives, take over the compound. Well, Fourth Thrives said, nah, it's just simply not going to work. Another zone shift is going to take place. You notice YG, Jaeger Galacticus, still up in the north. They've been in blue now for, I want to say, nearly half of the game at this point, and they'll have to continue to drop down south, which is going to be right next to Falcons. So that fight most likely going to ensue. And with Falcons getting their health all the way back up, I think this is about to go down.
I think they might actually, well, it depends, yeah. If they go for that rotate out to the east, it might be a little bit less sort of considered there for Yangon Galacticos as Silas goes down on a little bowl ramp jump there. Too overexposed as DRX able to sweep that one away. So Regnum Karya down to 3 players. That's not too favorable, but they are nice and central on the circle.
Yes, they are. Nice shot from Weibo. Weibo takes down Jiggle from Hora, who unfortunately loses a player. That was one who took early damage, and Weibo, not too far behind, is going to keep Hora in their line of sights. And well, this is a team that performed exceptionally well in game number 4, performing in 2nd place, nearly taking over the Falcons' position. They couldn't hold it down. I was very impressed with No Fear, and I'm expecting him to be huge in this moment. Wild from Regnum Karya, trying to take down Alva from Alter Egos, who had plenty of great moments, but for Wild, well, he's going to fall a bit short.
Rosemary had the off angle, nothing really doing there. Regnum Karya starting to falter. Meanwhile, over on that northern side, Falcons did find a player from Yangon Galacticos, and they will have Romeo almost on full surround now. They're putting this pressure on. Redox gets that flush. Hang on a minute, no, that's Koa. Vehicle up in flames with it. The M249 for Koa. He's going to be able to lay down that damage. Nice and healthy output there for the Falcons, and they disengage. They don't need to overextend here, and it's nice to see.
But it's also for Yangon Galacticus. I mean, there's really nowhere they can go. Forward, you got Fourth Thrives waiting on you, and then if you go backwards, you got Falcons who are going to be gatekeeping you. You go down a little bit further, you got Noxium Red Force. It's going to be a tough spot for Yangon Galacticus, a team that stayed so long in the blue zone. I mentioned No Fear. Well, he's currently pinned up. Sky is just a sliver of health. Rosemary desperately trying to hit the shots, and does as Sky gets a bit antsy, jumping up to get additional vision. Well, it ends up being his undoing.
With that Mini 14 through the window just at the right time. Excellent pre-fire there from Rosemary. Alter Ego holding the high ground here. They have such powerful position over this next circle, and they want to try and maintain that space. They're doing well with 3 players on that north flank. They've got Krypton far out on the southeast side, and that's an off angle actually, with shots over towards, actually potentially over towards Sleepy if he gets a little bit too big for his boots.
Rosemary repositioned. No Fear will stay down low. No reason to get too crazy on him. The smokes are out. Rosemary will continue to keep his head down. APG Team Secret start to get active. Dog with the off angle, unfortunately, is down. He's going to have no effect in this fight unless Zeal can get over and maybe get him back onto his feet. Reefus, nade in hand, throws it out. That looks like a nice cook and a great connection.
Doc is down, but the rest of APG can keep on going. Rotate around, try and slip this one. Around the edge there they go, and actually Doc could be resable here. Close to Fireflux though, and that will be in a lot of danger for this res. Will be very, very difficult to make it work. In the meantime, Team Secret actually getting handled across the way from Fireflux themselves. Shots overhead.
Fireflux have been performing well. They're trying to go up the standings. This is their game to take. They started off hot and heavy. They currently sit at 6 eliminations. All 4 members still alive. Now Catch, I hope he's not spreading himself a bit too thin, separating himself from the additional rosters, everybody else in a vehicle. So that'll be my concern. But for No Fear and Rosemary, well, No Fear tried to stay up as long as he could, but the shed, unfortunately, will be his demise.
Sook actually using the explosive arrows there, taking one of those knocks over towards Hora. He's going to be happy with that one, but Weibo currently out on that east side, have a little bit further to go here. That east side approach is really, really weird and finicky. They've got that long channel of road for Weibo to roll along on that northern side of the current circle. It spits you out with very little info, which means that they kind of need to head down south and try and put pressure on that way to approach towards Alter Ego, but that's really, really difficult in its own right? You've got Alter Ego who've been holding, we've seen how effective they are in that location. I don't think that Weibo are going to be able to to get too much further here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And mind you, Falcons has also kind of got into their vicinity. Falcons have been the outskirt team, consistently gunning down players, not overcommitting, but at least having a presence, keeping them in the back of their minds are their enemies. And well, we see Suki, as you said, from Sleepy from a distance.
Wait,
and I know Seven is loving that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wonder if it was that the straight shot or the explosion that got him though. I have to double check. We'll get the analysts on that one, breaking down the clip. That was kind of nuts though. You'd love to see it. Sook seems to be, you know, this proponent of
Legolas
of the bow and arrow. He loves it.
Yeah,
he loves it.
You know, it's funny, when I was doing my research coming into this, Seven specifically brought him up and said explosive arrows. Watch him with the bow. Let's watch Order now as they go for the challenge onto Falcons. Rosemary has him pinned in between, and Rosemary is a guy I do not want on my backside. He is truly devastating. We've witnessed it just a little bit earlier on Horda Esports. Now he can do it on Falcons, but Order cooking the nade, throws it out. Is it good? Well, a little bit of damage on Narvalo. Redux will answer back with his own, but it doesn't have an area effect. And Redux is very weak. Order is taking on two members from Falcons and doing it in sensational fashion.
They have that back flank as well from Rosemary. Aneda is feet, and Ralph and Redux both fall one after the other. The forward position and the middle spot for the Falcons both going down, and it looks like Weibo are actually going to be able to break through this one with Narvalo falling. There's only one player now left standing, and Sook is on the hunt.
And I wonder if APG starts to get active in this fight too, because Doc is getting dangerously close. There's Order from a distance, trying to take down Avila, but can't do it. He backs away for the meantime. Still a chance Falcons can maybe recover with the duo in this moment, but the pressure from Weibo is unrelenting. Koa, the tip of the spear, to try maybe get a couple of shots on the Order. Again, you can't really go back because you got Alter Egos, who's going to be just behind you with Alva. You also got Weibo starting to push in, and the attack is true, but Order will fall. Sook jumps out. Koa's going to be down. Can Sook pull off the hat trick?
It's Narvalo up against them. He can clutch these. We've seen it before. And Weibo are low. It's just Sook. And around the edge with a Scar goes for the spray down, but the heel is there. And Narvalo now at a disadvantage. Takes the corner, takes the fight. And once more, Narvalo survives out in the edge of the zone, eliminating Weibo.
All right, the question is, can he get his teammate back into the fight? Where is his downed mate? Is it just behind him? You'd have to think so. There it is. That's going to be Koa. Getting Koa back in this fight would be huge. Meanwhile, APG starts to move in. Koa's been finished, and Narvalo once again has to take on the entirety of another roster. This time, a 1v4. Reefus with that off angle. I think this is probably going to be the end. Plus, you got Alva, who's going to be looking dead at you. Narvalo in dire straits. If he can somehow, some way survive and get into zone, it would be miraculous.
Spray down. Narvalo slams it into reverse, trying to pull a quick J-sled there, but actually it's APG who might have given him a lifeline. He's actually down and into the road gully.
And he's dipping, he's dodging, he's swerving and moving. He's going up top to get that member of Avila. Can't get the finish, and that's going to be okay. A valiant effort. I felt Falcons from the start to the finish never really truly had a home, never truly had a legitimate route to stay safe. They were putting a lot of pressure on teams, but they were never able to establish themselves in a specific area and play for late game. That's just the way it goes. Miraculously though, Yangon Galacticus is doing quite well. I expected them to be eliminated a little bit earlier on, but for APG, Alter Egos, let's see how this fight ends up unfolding. Alter Egos got to do it as a duo.
Moana and Krypton will have to play it off one another. The circle kind of shifted away from them right now. DRX are in the center. They're by that roadside. They've got a lot of pressure outwards. Not too many threats to be sent their way. Fireflux, they're kind of on a linear approach from the south side. Whilst they have all 4 players alive, they've managed to rack up 7 elims, sure, but they are right with their backs to the blue zone, and power marauding around them as well.
Jeez. Yo, Top, go off, my boy. That's 2 down from Thunder Talk. Outputting the damage tremendously. I say 2 down, 1 manages to get out with his life, but just with a sliver of hell. Jing down low. I don't know if it's going to happen. Reefus, this might be a nice nade. It's cooked well. It's thrown out. Doc just below, and he'll take off a sliver of health. Not much, but keeps the pressure on Zing. You know he doesn't feel comfortable in this moment. And for APG, on a tear. They're only on 4 eliminations, but at this rate, I don't know where they're going to end up.
A little bit more damage sent over to him, but the first aid was already ticking up. He will be healed. This is the regroup coming on through. A nice drop on the smoke there. They should go for the weapon spot, but the ammo's already low, but they get it. Nonetheless, over the driver as well. Sitting will be taken down, and now Sing continues to be under pressure. However, they can't breach this high ground just yet. With Ida over the way, there's so much going on in this northeast quadrant.
APG holding on tight. Mind you, still 4 strong. You mentioned Ida, they're going to be just up ahead, and they look to be progressing forward just a bit more. So for APG, it's imperative that they focus the fights correctly. And Aaron, most likely going to be the first one targeted as he all starts to move up towards that rock. Reefus down low, still trying to keep Thunder Talk in check on the low ground. I love where APG is currently at, and I have to favor them in this fight. But again, if they don't do this properly, Ida is going to eat them alive.
Darkin with the nade pulled over towards APG. Thinks better of it. Waiting for someone to give some information away. So all 4 players alive on the northeast side. They continue their march here for Alpha Gaming. We have been hoping for more from this roster. The names they've got have some prestige, and Reefus looks to start to pick up the pace here, but backed off the angle. They'll have to take another crack.
5 eliminations for APG. This could be a first place game. They could take the first place position. Alter Egos are already out. They're going to lose it. Yangon Galacticus most likely has already passed them up. Scarface on your screen. Now Fireflux, again, a tremendous game. Nearly double digits already. 4 members still alive. They started early, and they have refused to slow down. They now start to challenge APG, but Reefus, he's deadly. That man has been hitting shot after shot, and 1 member from Fireflux is now down.
Zyol able to find Madcap. A nade over towards Zyol's position, and top is the trade-off here. Scarface forwards, does a lot of work against them, but will not win that trade. Gonna get flushed as well, almost certainly there. And have to fight on as 3 for Fireflux, but hang on a minute, no, because Madcap's down.
That's right.
He's all the way out on the flank. I think that res is coming through, though.
Let's see. Catch the distance, trying to keep APG at bay. Meanwhile, Ida has been there, but not really. You know, could they have taken advantage of this third party? Maybe, but they're well within zone. So the question is, really, can Thunder Talk even start to break in? APG, once this fight does end up concluding, if it does against Fireflux, who have managed to recover. You mentioned those revives. Well, now they're going to be a 4-man unit. And I like their chances a lot better in the moment APG starts to regroup.
Like Fireflux might be able to keep all 4 of their players alive as well. So 2 full force squads on the eastern side. Something also monumental could be happening. It's brewing, it's bubbling under right now. But Power Esports could be on their way to their first placement point. We've got 10 teams remaining. 2 more need to drop.
That is true. But of course, they are at 0 eliminations. Winner, winner, chicken dinner with 0 elims to keep the narrative alive. Let's find out. Well, this is the first time we've seen them really get active this game as they tried to take over the high ground over Fireflux. We've watched Fireflux and APG go toe-to-toe with each other. Fireflux looked to be on their wits' end, but they managed to get their teammates back up. And in fact, this secondary fight looks great. Scarface, let's do it, boy. Continue to push up. Get the downs while 1 comes in, but he's going to be traded out. Madcap, though. He's truly devastating, but APG answers back, but only for a matter of time before Catch says enough is enough. We're done fighting you. We're the winners.
Everybody turned to pulp on the northeast side of Verdun. Wants more points here with 9 teams remaining. If Fireflux go down now, Power will have earned their first placement point. It's only a matter of time. And a big nade from Ida to close it out. And that is a guaranteed placement point for Power. They're off the mark.
Darkin throws a beautiful nade, gets 3 from Fireflux and takes them out instantaneously. And now you got Power, who have been setting up quite nicely to gatekeep the winner from that engagement. In this case, happens to be Ida Esports, who now is focused on Thunder Talk, who stayed alive miraculously as a duo on the low ground. They took heavy losses, but they're giving it right back.
They stayed out of the fight for the time being, but now they want to try and wade back on in. King steps a little bit too close to the fire and does get burned, hits the deck just in time to avoid the spray down. And Thunder Talk keep the pressure on with Darkin falling. That's going to slow Ida down. He's going to have to force that res out. Darkin not really in a safe spot with the blue zone pushing in 15 seconds. Not a lot of time to operate here.
Aaron thought about it. Do I go for the res? Do I go for the challenge? Well, Jing throws a nay. This could be 2, and it's close enough. Aaron takes some damage. Another one starts to go in, but it's going to be a little bit too far. And now for Aaron, really the last hope for Ida. Potentially another one to I don't know, output some damage, but all eyes on Aaron in the moment. It is amazing. Thunder Talk has put up this much of a fight. They're towards the bottom. They desperately need points to elevate themselves towards the top 5 running, but 4 eliminations, their best game we have seen so far, and it could get even better.
Looks like Aaron will go down last. And Ida, very, very down on their luck. Now it's just Emre who was across the way, disengaged from that fight for the longest time. Finally, one of the power players gets taken away from this, and Easy on the forefront will need a little bit of a rescue mission from the rest of the team. Not going to be easy, and actually it's Ragnar who gets caught on the sidelines. So Easy able to find that shot, and DRX now starting to come alive here. They've been in this compound for the longest time, and they want to try and inflict pain now onto the rest of the circle, but Al-Haji is still on the hunt.
Yes, he is. For Ragnar's sake, though, I think he tried to get a little bit too fancy on the off angle, and it ended up being his undoing, and, well, he loses his life in the meantime. For Power, though, they look great. DRX is the only team, though, who is left alive with 4 members, but Power's positioning is great. They're hitting wonderful shots, but you gotta appreciate DRX. Able to utilize this low ground, this little divot. They're gonna be devastating. Power, it's gonna be hard to knock DRX off of this spot.
Yangon Galacticos as well on that northern side. Going to be difficult to navigate there. You've got solos on every single side of the circle, and right now the most dangerous one is probably Loxy on that southwest edge for Regnum Karya.
I would say so. Loxy could be devastating. Say Cloud, though, hits a nice shot, and that's going to be 2 from Power, dropping off, and the chances of making it to top 3 to the podium now ends. But as you said it best, they do get some placement points, so there is a positive for Emery. He tried his best to stay alive, but DRX takes him out without any drama whatsoever. We're now down to our top 3.
Okay, this should be a free win for DRX right now. They've been able to hold this compound for so long. It's 2 solos, and neither of the solos are in this next circle. They've got control of the hillside. They're in overexposed positions, so Easy goes down, and that is going to be a nice pickup, actually. Hang on a minute.
Very nice.
I said it should be a free win. Hang on a minute. We're just getting word that I lied. I lied to you.
Well, let's see what ends up happening. The pickup might be able to come through. We mentioned Loxy as well, right, from Regnum Karya. He's going to be potentially devastating. And both players, right, from Yangon Galacticos as well as Loxy from Regnum Karya, they're going to be pincering in this DRX roster. Looks to be a beautiful nade. I believe it does connect just a little bit. Here comes DRX. Now, I don't want them to get too aggressive here. They now have 2 players down low, and overexposing yourself to Say Cloud might be a reason why these solos could take a win.
Say Cloud has a brilliant side swipe here, right? You can see that ridge line that rolls down the hill away from Hyunbin. That is what Say Cloud is playing on. So Hyunbin flexing down this way. I really like this idea. Loxy should be taken care of by the blue zone. That will just sort of conclude itself here.
Yep.
And Say Cloud, sure, he might have the sideline swipe, but the center of the circle is still under control for DRX. And they do manage to keep things together, right? It's not going to get too spicy out here in the open, and he will fall down. DRX closes down. A little bit quiet on that one, but points are points are points, and they will take those 10 placements, add them to their tally, and they'll be up there with the rest of them at the top of the tables.
Without a doubt, DRX, just like Power's been eliminating, right, and getting all their elimination points, basically securing top 5 just off of that. DRX has done a phenomenal job in the placings. 4th place in game number 1, 10th place in 2nd. They fall down a little bit, but 2nd place in 3rd, or the 4th game, I should say, and then 3rd place in the 5th, and then, of course, 1st place coming out right before your eyes. Beautiful job from DRX, highly consistent in the podium category. That's going to be incredibly valuable when we get to Smash Point on day number 3. DRX, so strong, so powerful, and finally able to get a win.
That was 4th in the 1st, 3rd in the 3rd, and 2nd in the 4th, and a 1st in the 5th there for coming through from DRX. Hope you guys are following that. We certainly were here in the booth, but we are going to head to a quick break whilst we get ready for our final Miramar of the day. Don't go anywhere.
우리 나가나 그냥 뭐야 이들이 우리 바신 뭐도 거든다 काहे नहीं उठावत मैं हमो मजे देखा नहीं बगो विनर विनर चिकन डिनर हो गलो के बाद हम 10 मिनट के ब्रेक लेके चलते नहीं ठीक बा ना नेपाली चिकन तरकारी तनी दिमाग खराब कर बा सब हमरो बना रूम बना खेलो जाओ लगा जल्दी करो हम फिर मैं देख ली लास्ट सुन जाइल सुंदरी ये 12 को मैच खेलिए था कि को नहीं मन हो जोन खेलता था फाइनल मैच हुआ उनमें को मैच खेलिए सन माने लास्ट को मैच आला 12 को कि 18 को अब 6 को बयान खेलिए सन ना कौन 12 को बना एगो जल्दी खेलो जान चल के देखल जाए लास्ट मैच और पर हमू भाई ओकर बहुत बहुत नीचा हाँ नेपालिया ऊपर की तनिया के मारा तारा सन देख लिए लगा ना वो खेल जाओ रूम कब चल जी मैचो देख लो जी
Let's go. match is over, and the blue team is in the lead. Cover me! Reloading! 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 Cover me
हाँ क्या चल रहा है? हाँ हम कहाँ जाएंगे, हम तो काम पे जाते हैं। आह, चलो करो रेडी। क्या कहेगा किसका? अरे भाई आ गया, देखा मैंने। मेरे को 3 कॉइन मिल गए तो मैं फ्री में अपग्रेड कर दूंगा उसको। ठीक है, देखो अब मैं रैंकेड एरेना खेलता हूँ तब तक के।